Hello again, Lockpicking Paul here, and this video is about foil impressioning locks to get them open, primarily Dimple locks. I've got to review two kits. One is a commercial kit that you can get on AliExpress for about £20. They're all over it, and they're made by various manufacturers, and they are much of a matchness. They do the job with a bit of a learning curve. We'll come to that in a minute. And it's made up of a number of different components. And the second kit is a homemade kit by Roy Sammons, which I won in his giveaway. So I originally saw Roy foil impressioning a lock before he'd even made his homemade kit with one of these, and he was getting locks open. I thought, that looks really interesting. I'd like to have a go at that. So I promptly went off to AliExpress, bought this pile of junk, and discovered that there is a learning curve, a serious learning curve, to actually using these things and getting them to work. What kind of a learning curve? I'll show you. That kind of a learning curve. Foils everywhere. Now, these aren't all failures, but a lot of them are. And there is quite a faff to using foils and getting locks open. So we'll get to that in a minute. What do we get in these kits? In this kit, the commercial kit, so let's talk about that first of all. We've got a handle, and you've got these little screws, and you've got these effectively keyway plates, and they are designed to fit subtly different forms of Dimple lock. And they'll fit nearly all Dimple locks. I can't get one in a CISA Astral, and it won't work on obviously locks with slider mechanisms, dual mechanisms, that kind of thing. It's going to work on standard pin tumblers. These slot into here like so. Just going to unscrew these. Which one do I want to put in? I'll just put this one in for now. If I can get this right. There we go. It's in. And you screw these up. Now, these thumb screws work their way loose. I mean, it's well, for 20 quid, what do you expect? It's a bit of a faff to use it, to be honest. And again, practice with just using the tool is something, but I don't like the way these things work their way loose. And I do think at some point those plastic dials are going to snap off of there. So could be better quality. What else do we get in this? We've got a handle, 3 different template plates. We've got a foil extractor in case a foil tears off inside the lock. You've got something you can reach in and sort of pull the foil out with. It's only happened once, and I did use it and it worked fine. We've got 2 parts to a forming tool. This goes underneath the foil. Foil goes on top of that, and then this goes on top of the foil and forms the shape that the foil needs to be made. And you're supposed to use this while it's in the tool. You're meant to slide this down underneath there, down that channel, put the foil on top, and then form this on top of that. That is one of the causes of my major pain with this. And after playing with Roy's tool, I found that I actually didn't need this at all. This was unnecessary. In fact, by dropping that, I could actually get a greater result. And it was Roy's homemade kit that taught me to use this better, which was an interesting observation. So I'm going to use both kits in this video. It's not that hard to do it once you get a feel for it, but it is. You have to be ever so careful with the foils. They're incredibly delicate. Roy doesn't even use these in his kit. He uses homemade foil, which is cool because it works really well. And hopefully we'll show both of that in operation. And I'm not just going to do it on junk locks either. We've got an Avocet Pioneer Plus. This has spools in it. It has a trap pin in it. It's a good quality lock, so not junk. And what else we're going to use? We're going to use this, which is a lock that Roy sent me. It's a Latham's rim cylinder. Again, spools in this. So again, not junk. And these kits will open both of these locks quite happily. I have, in full disclosure, I have tried a multi-lock. It does fit a multi-lock, a Garrison. I have yet to get a Garrison open with this. So that is on the to-do list, but I haven't gotten there yet. And I'm not sure what it is about the foil impressioning that doesn't work with the Garrison that is working with these locks. So it's worth bearing that in mind. It's not going to open all locks. All of the effort is in preparing the foil. The more time you spend getting that bit right, the more likely you are to open the locks. So let's take a quick look at Roy's kit. That's the commercial stuff, so let's take a look at Roy's. In Roy's, his foil is just a sheet of foil. It's quite thick stuff. I'm told it's the same sort of thickness as a Costco foil. I'm not sure how true that is, I haven't tried it, but you just cut a strip off of here about 8mm wide. I've pre-cut some so we can have a go at that in a minute. And then what you do is you use his forming tool, which is a plastic tool. You rest the foil over the groove, then use this bar, if I can find it, to push down into the foil top, folding the edges over, and that creates the same shape foil as you get in the commercial stuff. So you can make your own, which is good. And if you bend a foil while you're making it, you just put it back in the tool, reform it, and it works. Roy also has included an extractor in here. So I haven't needed to use that yet because I haven't torn one of those homemade foils yet. And 2 keys. These keys are regular lock keys. One that fits the Latham's and one that fits Smiley Dimple's. This is an H&S Smiley Dimple. And all he's done is he's ground off the bitting. He's done that on both of these locks. And the foil sits in there. Not very much prep is required. There's a particular way of using the foils, and it works a treat. And we're going to do that. By the way, this Latham's key also fits that Pioneer Plus, so it works in both locks. In fact, it works in a lot of different keyways. So I'm not going to use the Smiley Dimple because the only Smiley Dimple I've got is an H&S Smiley Dimple padlock. And frankly, I can open that with harsh language. So that's not much of a test of this. So we won't be doing that today. Right, let's get a lock open. Right, something to say about these commercial foils, first of all. These things stick together. And as a number of times, I've put one of these in the tool, had it fail, and then realised that there were 2 of them. So you've got to be really careful because they get compressed together inside the packet, and you end up wrecking a couple of foils and not getting a lock open, which is a bit of a disappointment. So I don't think we've got 2 here. Just double checking around the side of the camera just to make sure we don't have 2. No, right, good. Let's get this mounted up and working. The way I would do these, you want your foil sort of just slightly hanging over the end of that bar. In the instructions, it seems to indicate that the foil sort of slides underneath that channel, and that is not the way I do it. Now, it might be that I've misunderstood the instructions, but still, I made a mark on one of these. Yeah, this is the one I want to use. Just make sure it's going to go in the lock the right way up, because these are more than one way around. There we go, that way up. No, it's not. It was that way up. I had it right to start with. There we go. So that sits in there like so. So the foil's going to go in this channel in here. Let's fit that to the handle. Is it going to go in there? No, of course it's not going to go in. It's going to go around that way, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. I hate using this tool, I've got to be honest. I much prefer Roy's ground out keys, but we'll do that in a minute. So this slides down this channel. Now what I do, before I do anything else, I take the forming tool that comes with this, there's a V-groove underneath it, and just run that over the existing preformed foil and push it into the slot, like so. Nice and firm, it fits really well. Now that is now compressed and formed into that channel. And then the overhanging bit there, I just bend that over. That's because when you push it into the lock, you don't want it get sliding out of the way. That's what you're left with. That actually works really well. if you put your thumb on that underside there, and it makes inserting into the lock that much easier. Just going to push this all the way into the lock, gently, like so. It's easy to do it in hand, or easier for the camera, but normally you'd obviously have this mounted in the boat. There we go. I could do that all day. Brilliant, works really, really well. And actually something else I found is if you slide this foil off, put it to one side, you can actually put it back on the tool and it will actually open the lock again. We'll give that a go. I'm not sure, I just bent it taking it off. You've got to be ever so careful because these will malform. Let's see if that works by putting it back in. Yeah, there you go. That's basically, that's the impression of the key. Brilliant, huh? Right. And thanks for the lock again, Roy. That was great. So let's try. We've demonstrated this works. I'm not going to go into the commercial tool much more, but for £20, maybe $30 with the new tariffs, who knows, you can get yourself one of these from AliExpress. It's a good starter set from that perspective, because you've got those plates there, which will fit different profile of lock. Right, let's put this out of the way and let's take a look at the homemade tools. Well, first of all, Roy's ground out key, where is it, will accept preformed foils. You don't have to make foils to use with this. You can just take the factory foils and use it in Roy's key. Doubling checking we haven't got more than one foil here. Much the same way, except on this one, I found I don't need to use, he's got it wide enough, but this foil sits in that channel really well. So I don't need to use the forming tool on it. I just need to bend the end over. Yeah, ever so gently. Put my thumb on the back of it by the bow, and I can compress that a little bit against the key. And insert, and it should work. If that doesn't smush out of the way. I'm not sure how, no, I caught it on the front end. That's the kind of thing that happens, drives me potty. That's why foil impressing is a pain in the bum. I think that's good. We'll try that again. I may have to edit some of this out, you never know. I want to try and keep it real if I can. Right, I think we're ready to go again. Let's try again. Yeah, it's better. It's in. Let's see if it works. Doesn't always go quite as quickly as the last one. Yeah, there we go. Takes a little bit longer, but there we go. It's not always that long. It depends if the foil's not quite perfect or whatever. It varies a lot, this experience. I do find in some of the earlier attempts I was probably giving up too early. So that's the factory foil. It goes in a pile of foils. Let's try the other set. But let's try it with a homemade foil. So let's make a foil. So here's one I've cut already. It's just basically a strip of that foil cut to about 8mm. And in Roy's video, he shows trimming the foil. But I find if you can get the width right, you can avoid all the need to do the trimming at all. So put this on top of Roy's forming tool with the groove upwards. Just sort of trap that in place. It's a bit fiddly. Now he showed sort of making a little groove, which does help. Just with a thumbnail. take his forming tool and just put that on top. Again, fiddly fiddly. Just push it down. So it's what it's doing is pushing the foil into the groove, and then just fold any foil over the sides, either side. I've got that. It's a bit lopsided, but probably isn't going to be a problem. So you end up with something that looks, in fact, I'll take it out and show you. Looks very much like the foils that were coming out of the commercial packet. Pretty straightforward. And if for any reason it's not perfect, you can pop it back in the tool and reform it. So let's give that a go in the other set. This might not work because I've got it, it's a bit larger than I need it to be, and maybe I'll put that forming tool over that and just give it a little squeeze. It's the ridge you want to try and maintain in the foil. Not sure how successful this one's going to be. We'll give that a go. We may have to give it another attempt. Gently push it in. I'm not sure if that's going to work. We've got some creasing going on there. We'll try it. Oh, it literally worked almost immediately. I think that's the fastest it's ever happened. There you go. That bit's torn off. So the foil's now trapped inside. We will have to retrieve that. But that's got a trap pin it and spools. How smooth is that? So let's pull that out, and we will have to retrieve the foil. Here we go, it's out. So what do I think of these things? They are a bit of a fun novelty. I mean, these are locks I can pick without too much trouble. But perhaps I will come across a lock I can't pick that easily, and the foil will get it open. I think what is nice about it is it's just another technique to have in your armory of lock picking skills that previously I didn't have. And I've got to say, making your own, and I think perhaps maybe Roy could publish the details of how he made this forming tool, because that's quite neat. Grinding out the keys, that's not too difficult. So yeah, nicely done, Roy. That's for business. And thanks for getting me into foil impressioning, which I've actually, despite the frustration, and obviously there's a frustration of a learning curve with just about everything, I actually thoroughly enjoyed myself, and it's a very absorbing couple of hours sort of destroying foil. So there you go, foil impressioning. Go treat yourself to a commercial kit, or maybe Roy will take a hint and make his kits available on a more chargeable basis. You never know. They're very effective and very small. They take up very little space. All right, that's it. A little bit different. Hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.